So, good afternoon, Mister. And we are the Group 10, and we are assigned to report gender inequality in marriage and criminal laws. So, the lesson objectives of this topic is the number one, understand fully gender inequality in marriage and criminal laws. Number two, determine the status of gender inequality in selected provisions of these laws. And number three, assess provisions on the proposed same-sex marriage legislations. So next, definition of terms. So marriage is a special contract of permanent union between a man and a woman entered into in accordance with law for the establishment of conjugal and family life. It is the foundation of the family and the inviolable social institution. So in So the other term of marriage is it is legally and socially sanctioned union usually between a man and a woman that is regulated by laws, rules, customs, beliefs, and attitudes that prescribe the rights and duties of the partners and accord status to their offspring. So next, introduction, marriage in the Philippines, based on sex and not on gender. So, here in the Philippines, the marriage is based on sex and not on gender. So, means it is not allowed to have same-sex marriage. When we say sex, means it refers to the physical differences between people who are male, female, or intersex. And when we say gender, means refers to the characteristics of women, men, girls, and boys that are socially constructed. So the Philippines does not legally recognize same-sex unions either in the form of marriage or civil unions. The Family Code of the Philippines defines only recognized marriage between a man and a woman. The Constitution itself does not mention the legality of same-sex unions. So the marriage in the Philippines is based only on sex and not on gender. So next, 1987 Philippine Constitution Article 15 Section 2. So marriage is stated as inviolable social institution is the foundation of the family and shall be protected by the state. So the state shall defend the right of spouses to found a family in accordance with their religious convictions and the demands of responsible parenthood. The right of the children to assistance including proper care and nutrition and special protection from all forms of neglect, abuse, cruelty, exploitation, and other conditions prejudicial to their development. The right of the family to a family living, wage, and income, and the right of families or family associations to participate in the planning and implementation of policies and programs that affect them. So the next is Article 1, the Family Code of the Philippines. Marriage is defined as a special contract or permanent union between a man and a woman entered into in accordance with the law for the establishment of conjugal and family life. So it is the foundation of the family, an inviolable social institution whose nature, consequences, and incidents are governed by law and not subject to stipulation, except that marriage settlements may fix the property relations during the marriage within the limits provided by this code. So next. So next is facts of the specific law. So law provides marriage only for man and woman. So as what laws in the Philippines, it is only for heterosexuals, or we do not allowed here in the Philippines same-sex marriage. So laws in the Philippines about marriage is not it is only allowed for man and woman. It is not allowed same-sex marriage like man and man, woman and woman. Not like other countries, they accommodate same-sex marriage. So next is, it causes exclusion of homosexual relationships as it only accommodates heterosexual ones. It excludes the homosexual relationships. So when we say homosexuality, it refers to attraction between people who are the same sex. But here in the Philippines, they only accommodate heterosexual. So as what I've said, it is not allowed to have same-sex marriage in the Philippines. So, next is, it deprives members of LGBTQIA+ of this constitutionally enshrined right afforded supposedly to every Filipino. So, as what I've said earlier, only heterosexuals are allowed to have marriage. So the members of LGBTQIA+ has no right to have marriage. So next is, succeeding provisions of marital laws in the Philippines are anchored on the above inequality. So the laws about marriage in the Philippines, there is a inequality. So, and they only accommodate heterosexual to have marriage. And if you think, how about those homosexuals? So it's like they are discriminated. So the next is various personal laws of inequality in its provision. So Article 333 and 334 of the revised penal code, the crime of adultery presents harsher requisites than the crime of concubinage. So under Article 333, adultery may only be committed by a married woman by a man who shall have a sexual intercourse with her. On the other hand, under Article 334, concubinage may be committed by a husband only under certain conditions which are difficult to prove. So, under the provision of Article 334 of the revised penal code, concubinage may be committed in either of the following ways. Number 1, by keeping a mistress in the conjugal dwelling. Next is by having sexual intercourse under scandalous circumstances with a woman who is not his wife. And the last is by cohabiting with such woman in any other place. So, next is Article 202 of the revised penal code. Vagrants and prostitutes pertain only to women. So, Article 202 of the Philippines Revised Penal Code defines prostitution as a crime only women can commit. So, it is for the purposes of this article, women who, for money or profit, habitually indulge in sexual intercourse or lascivious conduct are deemed to be prostitutes. So, next slide is Article 130 of the Labor Code, Gender Inequality Issues on Night Work Prohibition. So, Article 130, Night Work Prohibition, no woman, regardless of age, shall be employed or permitted or suffered to work with or without compensation in any industrial undertaking or branch thereof between 10 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock in the morning of the following day, or in any commercial or non-industrial undertaking or branch thereof other than agricultural between midnight and 6 o'clock in the morning of the following day, or in any agricultural undertaking at night time unless she is given a period of rest of not less than 9 consecutive hours. So next is the rule 331 section 3J of the rules of the court. Disputable presumptions the is established by the rule of evidence that is person not heard from in 7 years is dead may arise and be invoked and made in a case either in action or in a special proceeding which is tried or heard by and submitted for decision to a competent court. So the last is removal of criminal liability for rapists under Republic Act 8353 should also be visited. So it is all about expanding the definition of the crime of rape, reclassifying the same as a crime against persons, amending for the purpose Act number 3815 as amended, otherwise known as the Revised Penal Code, and for other purpose. The Anti-Rape Law 1997 redefines rape as a crime against person. Rape violates person's well-being and not just one's virginity or purity. The law considers that any person, whether a prostitute person, non-virgin, or one who has an active sexual life, may be victimized by rape. And in a public offense, by declaring the rape it is a crime against persons, the law no longer considers it is a private crime. Anyone who has acknowledged of the crime may file a case on the victim's behalf. The prosecution continues even if the victim drops the case or pardons the offender. So, incorporating gender inequality in various laws are vital to be addressed as otherwise this concept will further be proliferated. So, next reporter. And that would be all my assigned topic. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. I am Ranler Nieses, and I am the next reporter. I'm tasked to report primacy of the decision of the husband and father. Under the Article 14 of the Family Code of the Philippines, it is provided that in case either or both of the constructing parties not having been emancipated by a previous marriage are between the age of 18 and 21, they shall, in addition to the requirements of the preceding article, exhibit to the local civil registrar the consent to the marriage of their father, mother, surviving parents, or guardian, or person having legal charge of them in the order mentioned. So, in case of disagreement, the father decision shall prevail unless there is a judicial order the contrary. The above mentioned provision is automatically given father, husband, and authority to decide completely in cases the disagreement between couples unless the wife resort to judicial action. So, next, such consent shall be manifested in writing by the interested party who personally appears before the proper local civil register or in the form of an affidavit made in the presence of two witnesses and attested before any official authorized by law to administer oath. The personal manifestation shall be recorded in both application for marriage license and affidavit, if one is executed instead, shall be attached to said application. So, the above mentioned provision is automatically given by the father, husband, the authority to decide completely in cases the disagreement between couples unless the wife resort to judicial action. So next, on the other, administration and enjoyment of community property or conjugal partnership. So Article 96 and 24 of the Family Code provided that the administration and enjoyment of the community property shall belong to both spouses jointly. In case of disagreement, the husband decision shall prevail subject to recourse to the court by wife proper remedy which must be availed of within 5 years from the date of the contract implementing such decision. So, in the event that one spouse is incapacitated or otherwise unavailable to participate in the administration of the common properties, the other spouse may assume sole powers of administration. So this power do not include disposition or encumbrance without authority of the court or the written consent of the other spouse. So next. So Article 124, the administration and enjoyment of the conjugal partnership shall belong to both spouses jointly. So in case of disagreement, the husband decision shall prevail subject to recourse of the court by the wife for proper remedy which must be availed within 5 years from the date of the contract implementing such decision. So, in the absence of such authority or consent, the disposition or embargo shall be void. However, the transaction shall be construed as a continuing offer on the part of the consenting spouse and the third person, and may be perfected as a binding contract upon the acceptance by the other spouse or authorized by the court before the offer is withdrawn by either or both offers. So next, Article 211, on other exercise of parental authority over the person and legal guardianship over the property of common children. Article 211 and 225 of the Family Code state that the father and mother shall jointly exercise parental authority over the person of their common children. And next is, in case of disagreement, the father decision shall prevail unless there is a judicial order of the contrary. So, children shall always observe respect and reverence toward the parents and are obliged to obey them as long as their children are under parental authority. So, Article 225. So, the father and the mother shall jointly exercise legal guardianship over the property of the unemancipated common child without the necessity of a court appointment. Next is, in case of disagreement, the father decision shall prevail unless there is judicial order of the contrary. So, where the market value of the property or the annual income of the child exceed 50,000, the parents concerned shall be required to furnish a bond in such amount as the court may determine, but not less than 10% of the value of the property or annual income, to guarantee the performance of the obligation prescribed for general guardians. So, a verified petition for approval of the bond shall be filed in the proper court of the place where the child resides, or if the child resides in a foreign country, in the proper court of the place where the property or any part thereof is situated. So, the petition shall be docketed as a summary special proceeding in which incident and issue regarding the performance of the obligation referred to in the second paragraph of the article shall be heard in the resolve. So, the ordinary rules on guardianship shall be merely supplementary, except when the child is under substitute parental authority, or the guardian is stranger, or a parent has remarried, in which case the ordinary rules on guardianship shall apply. So this is the end of my report. So the continuation of the report will be, the next is Nelvin Rabelo, and thank you everyone. Thank you, Mr.
Hello everyone. First of all, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Nelvin Ventura Velo, a former fourth-year criminology student at Norso Main Campus. And yeah, I am now assigned to report about the higher order burden on women, wives, than men and husband, and the other one is forgiveness clause in the crime of rape and exclusive definition of prostitution. Yeah, that's all I have given the task to report about that. Now I will gonna start about the higher order burden on women, wives, than men or husband. Short recap or throwback, as you already know, the characteristic of being a woman and a man. A woman is more on feminism, unlike the man it will kind of show masculinity. And yeah, it says here the crimes of adultery and concubinage include the concept of marital infidelity. So from the word concubinage, anang naay pagpanapaw sa Bisaya pa, no? Dayon includes the concept of marital infidelity. So in this situation, ang kalagmitan nga mahitabuan ni kay ang mga couples, mga married ones, kay na ay mga cheating. From the word marital infidelity, it says here that infidelity, or other term also known as cheating, is the act of being unfaithful to a spouse or other partner. It typically means engaging in sexual or romantic relation with a person other than one's significant person, especially sa imuhang partner nyo, nangita og laing partner, di mo gibuhatan og dili maayo, no? So ang babae mo'y kalagmitan anak kay wala sila na kontento. So next is adultery, involves a wife who engages into sexual intercourse with a man, not her husband. So not just a man is, as we already know, kalagmitan sa mga atong society kay men man no ang mo buhat na ni apan there's no distinction between men and women. Also women can do men's bad doings, like as it is said and state here that sexual intercourse with a man, not her husband. So men and women, no differences. The next one is concubinage involves a husband who has sexual intercourse with a man, not his wife, under scandalous circumstances, kept another woman in the conjugal home, cohabiting with another woman in another dwelling. So magkita silang duha, they were gonna see each other in a meeting place. That's a very wrong doing that couples do. Next is for the crime of adultery to be proven, the mere sexual intercourse with a man, not her husband, will suffice. In contrast, for the crime of adultery, the sexual intercourse must be combined under scandalous or circumstances, not mere sexual intercourse. The next one, the wife of adultery case incurs a higher penalty that for the erring husband in concubinage. A penalty of imprisonment is also impossible or paramour in adultery, but the only penalty to distero or banishment falls on the concubinage or concubinage. So, na siya penalty, na siya law about that. Next one is forgiveness clause in the crime of rape. It is stated here the Anti-Rape Law, Republic Act 8353. Contains a clause that can easily exonerate. Okay, the offender can further endanger the victim. It is said here, and it is an act expanding the definition of the crime rape and reclassifying the same as crime against person, especially crimes against person, because it's a crime against person, it's a rape, is under the crimes against person. Frequently asked. And yeah, the next is, what is the purpose of the Republic Act of number 8353? It is the amendment of improving for stronger protection against rape and sexual exploitation and abuse, raising the age of sexual consent from 12 to 16 years to further shield minors from rape and other acts of sexual abuse. Yeah, in the law, it was stated that subsequent valid marriage between the offender and the offender party shall extinguish the criminal action or the penalty imposed. No matter you're single or married, you are under the law of 8353 or molestation. Maybe your husband did not respect you. The desire you did not give the desire of your partner. That's why he raped you rather. Next is, it gives an easy way for the offender, which in effect does not bar him from committing the crime. It is also recognized that if the offender is the legal husband, the subsequent forgiveness by the wife, who is the offender party, shall extinguish the criminal action or the penalty. This perpetuates violence under the shroud of marriage, which can perpetuate these kinds of abuse for a long period of time. Exclusion definition of prostitution. Article 202 of the Revised Penal Code, amended by the RA 10158, retained the decades old definition of prostitutes as the woman who, for the money or profit, habitually engage in sexual intercourse or lascivious conduct. So it is also under the Republic Act 10351, the prostitution. As we already know, prostitution is one of the very known vices here in the Philippines. As I can recall, there are five main vices here in the Philippines, which is the alcohol, the drugs, dangerous drugs, the illegal smoking, gambling, and prostitution. That are the five vices here in the Philippines. Main vices here in the Philippines. And yeah, prostitution world is not just here in the Philippines but worldwide problem crisis that the world is facing right now. And the government amended that the 10158, the revised penal code, retained decade oath of definition. And actually there are a lot of definition. There are cowgirl, call girl, hustler. There are different what do you call this one, rank or assigned area, or what do you call this one, top. They are the one that call that kind of job, especially prostitution. They do this one to gain profit, to gain money, to sustain their needs, or maybe in lack of money, because lack of money or crisis or emergency, they do that one. And maybe some of this they make it a job for money, so they can gain money. Following this definition, a man who peddles sexual acts for profit is an effect invisible in the eyes of law, making the actor thereof immune the imprisonment. That's all, sir. And yeah, have a nice day, all of you, and keep salamat sa tanan. That's all, sir.